and I think this is the part that rubs people the wrong way. I think he's basically saying there's a certain excellence to Asians, and that what he's trying to pinpoint in terms of what Asians do well, I think sounds very elitist, and that elitism seems to be rubbing the liberals in that room the wrong way.
All the stuff that he mentioned,
if you're looking at it from
yeah, sorry, go ahead. Sorry,
I think there's a lag between you and me. There's definitely a lag going on.
But yeah, go just finish what you were saying, because it sounded epic.
Oh no, this nut's so good in my mouth. Welcome back to another episode of Stay Oriented Podcast. I am Casey, and here's my brother.
What's up, comrades? I'm Kyrie.
What do I call my peoples, man? You get to call your peoples comrades?
I don't know. We just call them all comrades. We're all in this together.
Yeah, we're what? We're communists? What?
Just kidding.
Why did the word comrade? Why did the word comrade get completely swallowed up by communism?
I think that's
like comrade was
like camaraderie, right?
Term
it came from
before
camaraderie.
Communists came around. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, which is like brotherly love, right? Mm-hmm. Like, but then comrade. The moment you mention the word comrade, in my mind, maybe I'm the one that's weird and crazy, but I think communism right off the bat.
I think most people do.
I think of Russians.
Yeah, I mean that's where it did come from. Yeah,
comrade.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why it just has like that bad stigma to it, but it did have a good meaning to it at first. I think I would say so.
Yeah, and I don't know why communism has a bad stigma. Well, I don't know why. It just got lost in translation. I think maybe after all the millions of people that died. Because
communism, I think it came from. I think they came from the root word of like a commune or something, right? And like people would live in a village together, have like a shared garden, like a commune, like a common area. Everybody kind of shared everything, and I think that's the idea behind communism. But I think when it comes to like a large scale country, it hasn't worked out very well for anybody. It's more. I think it works only well only like a small village.
Any scale, yeah, maybe. But even then, I feel like it probably might not actually work.
Probably not. Ideally, it does. But human nature, greed.
People should be treated equally, but people, by and large, are not the same. I'm not going to say people aren't equal.
Yeah,
people should be treated equally, but people aren't the same. And so by nature not being the same, it plays into that weird space of like, well, what does it really mean to be equal? You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And communism kind of like takes it like we are equal down to the core, down to the bone.
Well, that's funny. Yes, they treat everyone equal, but the states, the governments, they don't see themselves as equal. That's the difference.
Yeah, there's still a
hierarchy or a bureaucracy there.
Communism does not like hierarchies. Yes.
Yeah.
But yet they lean into the government. They lean into the state to kind of lead the way, which then it in turn is just a hierarchy in and of itself. It's very weird. Yeah. Very weird concept.
There was this short story we read in school. I'm pretty sure you did too.
A short story about communism in school? I don't know.
Hold on.
Actually, I didn't know what communism meant until like maybe a couple years ago. I really didn't know it. I was like, anytime anyone mentioned communism, I understood like, oh, on paper it sounds great, but if you play it out, it doesn't work. And I'm like, I don't know why it doesn't work.
Bergeron.
Like, that's just what I've been told.
Harrison Bergeron. It's written by Kurt Vonnegut. It was a short story. Read it in school. And it was about this like dystopian futuristic society, kind of like a Ray Bradbury, like Fahrenheit 451 kind of scenario where this is this dystopian future.
Or 1984?
Yes. Yeah. It might be written in the same time period as all those, but it has that same vibe. But it's about this guy who's like, he's like this strong, muscular, handsome, smart guy. But in this society, everyone has to be equal. So if you're too strong, they're going to put they're going to make you wear weights on you so that you're weaker. Or if you're too weak, then you're going to, You know what?
That doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't
because
make
if
any-
you
yeah.
put weights on, you just get stronger.
Yeah, so like, yeah, I feel like if you're ugly, they're gonna like put a beautiful mask on you. If you look too pretty, they're gonna put like an ugly mask on you. Basically, they'll compensate whatever you lack for, and then whatever you do have, they'll take away from you so that everyone's on an even playing field. And it's and I'm probably botching the entire short story for all of you people that do know it, but it's like the main idea of it is communism, I think. And the main character, his name is Harrison Bergeron. He's like this really strong, tall, handsome, smart guy that basically tries to buck the system. And I think they end up killing him in the end. It's just a short story, but I always remember that story when I think of communism. How, yeah, no one's the same, and we should.
Yeah, don't go against the commune. The commune comes and kills you.
Yeah,
That's
but
the less morals of that story.
if you look at
That's
it that
the moral
way,
of it. There's a real famous book about communism written by a Russian dude who lived through
oh, he talks about the gulags,
Soviet Union,
right? Solzhenitsyn,
gulags. Yeah, exactly.
the Gulag
Solzhenitsyn,
Archipelago
yes.
or something.
Yes, that's it. The hardest name to ever say. Yes.
Solzhenitsyn or something.
It's like it's almost like don't ever read this book because you can't ever pronounce it.
Yeah, I have an affinity for Soviet, like Russian stuff, so I did a little research on.
Yeah, you're a
on
communist.
that.
I know you were.
I'm not a communist. But I like it looks
Are
cool.
you sure
They
about
got
that,
some nice
comrade?
branding.
Comrade, are you sure about that?
Yeah, Alexander Solzhenitsyn, which is crazy
I don't
though.
know. You got that red background behind you.
Oh,
You got the red background behind
what
you.
if I made this yellow? I guess it doesn't really blend as well.
Oh, that red is permanent, man. You're permanently
I can
communist.
change that too, but I like the red. I like red. But
Don't worry about it. Okay, I know you're not
yeah,
communist.
but yeah, what's
So you
cool
say, I
about,
don't know.
or actually not cool, what's crazy about the Alexander Solzhenitsyn book about the Gulag thing, apparently it's a fictional book. Yeah, not to say that
Oh yeah,
not to say that the stuff in there didn't happen.
it's
but
a fictional book.
yeah,
Yeah, I think it's a fictional book written by a guy who went through the
it,
stuff,
yeah.
but he created a fictional account of it.
Yes, yeah.
Or a guy that was around. I don't know.
yeah.
I just know that whoever wrote it, he was very close to the source, very close to the
Yeah.
source, and it's one of those the most credible literary works to have basically been used to combat
to document what
communism.
happened in the Gulag.
Yeah, it spread the awareness of what was actually happening. Because in a communist state, everything is state run, so very few media outlets, get to escape its grasp,
report
the
on
country's grasp. And so for that book to actually, make its way out, I think it was one of the major contributing factors for communism to collapse in Soviet Russia. Yeah.
Have you been watching the Mavericks with Kyrie? I haven't really seen it. I saw like the end of the game that they lost to over the weekend.
I have so many thoughts about Kyrie Irving joining the Mavericks. Yeah, so I was so excited that he came to Dallas because like we said in the last episode, we don't get these types of players getting traded or even signing with the Dallas Mavericks. So for him to be traded here was like, what? A second star that we didn't actually, not a homegrown star, And then I don't know, like he played the first two games without Luka. Luka was injured, right? He looked amazing. I'm like, oh my God, I could just wait till you add Luka to the mix, And then they played their first game together, and I'm like, oh my God, what just happened? Did we just have the worst trade in the history of the NBA? Which it could possibly could, because the narrative behind it is that Kyrie's probably the most volatile player you could possibly have wanted on your team. And it just doesn't seem like it's working with the two of them. I know they need to get used to each other, right?
Like the chemistry. I hope the Mavs do better with Kyrie and Luka together, because I would hate to see Kyrie leave at the end of the season. Though I wouldn't really be surprised either, but because I know he just got traded here, it wasn't his choice exactly. But speaking of Kyrie, he was known to be a controversial.
He's a
Earth.
Flat earther. That was just the beginning. Then he was like anti-vax,
But yeah,
and then anti. What's the latest anti?
Yeah.
Anti-Semitism.
Well, I don't want to. They didn't say anything that was anti-Semitic, but they called them that. But going back to the flat Earth thing, I like ran across this theory on the internet talking about the Chinese balloon that happened like a week or two ago, and in the flat Earth theory, outer space doesn't exist. Basically, like it's just this is the Earth and this is it, and outer space is fake. And they were mentioning how that NASA, and this is actually a true fact right here, is that NASA is the world's like largest consumer of helium. And this is actually true. I looked it up online. It's actually on their website.
Because they throw a lot of birthday parties, obviously.
It's all over the website, but their website mentions how much helium they use. So they selected 3 companies to supply 1.4 million liters of liquid helium and 87.7 million standard cubic feet of gaseous helium for use at facilities all across their agency, which is kind of weird. It's like, what does NASA really need all this helium for, right?
Well, when they land on the moon again,
what the theory is,
when they land on the moon again, they have to celebrate. So they need a lot of balloons for that celebration. It's a big deal, man.
They're gonna pick up the moon like an up.
Yeah.
Or
it's R&D, man.
Moon balloon.
They're paying for R&D. They're like, you know what? Fossil fuels are bad. We don't want to burn the ozone anymore. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna float our spaceship into outer space.
They're like, thanks Pixar, thanks for that idea. But anyways, back to that theory. What was it? So there's no outer space in the flat Earth theory. NASA is the largest consumer of helium for whatever reason. And so the theory is that there are no satellites in outer space because there's no outer space in this theory. There's no satellites in orbit across going around the Earth. So all of our satellites are actually just floating really high up in our atmosphere on balloons. So basically alluding to what looked like that Chinese balloon that they found in Montana. And this theory is that, that was a slip up for NASA. One of their balloons didn't have enough helium. It started coming down and the government was like, oh shit, we gotta do some like damage control here.
Chinese
so,
fault.
They do the whole theatrics of, exactly, this is a Chinese, spy balloon.
Them China,
they wait 3 days or whatever. They wait 3 days or whatever to shoot it down, and then now I'm pretty sure you heard about these weird like unidentified objects being shot down, like in
UFOs,
Alaska, Canada, and over Lake Huron, which is really close to Canada. And so the theory is that all these UFOs that are being shot down are just kind of a cover up of the Chinese balloon. So they can't get rid of that Chinese balloon story. So what they do is they just stack more stories on top to probably like scare us into something, or, just like, oh, forget about that Chinese balloon. What about these aliens?
UFOs, man. World
so I thought that was interesting. And I'm like, oh shit, I don't know, maybe, you never know.
Yep.
Because to me, it's just like, why would China just send this balloon over here like nobody would notice?
Because they're China and they're communists.
I just don't think they need, if they want to spy
You're trying
on
to
us,
protect
I don't
China
think
then,
they
aren't
need
you?
a balloon.
You're protecting China, you communist.
I am a comrade.
You're a comrade. I spit nuts all over. I nutted all over my microphone. I'm eating nuts.
Yeah, I'm hungry too. Mm-hmm. Been actually eating my Cane's chicken that's cold now.
But the whole flat Earth thing is always really interesting to me, because I read into it too before, just to see like what people are on about. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? The idea of having what they call an firmament, right?
Firmament,
yeah.
Which is a lot of ancient civilizations. They actually also referred to this firmament thing, but at the same time, it's like, well, they didn't know what rain and clouds were back then either.
Yeah.
So the firmament supposedly is like this dome-shaped force field around our land, and then there's like waters above it. So in ancient times, without modern technology, they could just think that there's water up there, like we're in some giant fish bowl kind of
like
thing.
we're in a bubble.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not smart enough to like prove or disprove anything at all.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us really know. We just go by whatever they teach us in school.
Yeah.
But
what the news tells us.
You know, it does sound weird that we are like on this ball that's like spinning 1,000 miles an hour, going like thousands of miles per hour, like shooting across space while like orbiting the sun and all this crap with like other asteroids and comets flying everywhere.
True.
I don't know. It does sound nuts. Both the flat Earth theory and our outer space sound nuts to me.
Like if you didn't know,
both of these
if you
things.
didn't know about either one concept, both of them are
And
like
somebody told you about them, you're like, what?
what? And then the other one would be like, no, God created us in 7 days. Like, that sounds fucking nuts too. What are you talking about?
It's 6 days. It's 6 days. God rested on the
damn it! I
seventh.
got it wrong. Right, Sunday. Sunday. You must rest.
Yeah, but either way, though, I can tell you that I don't think we landed on the moon, though. Because
I was going to ask you, do you believe in the moon landing, or Stanley
I don't think
Kubrick
so.
made a movie?
I'm more on the track to believing the Stanley Kubrick thing. Like they used him to create this because of the was it Space Odyssey 2001?
Yeah, that movie came out in 19. No, I mean,
before the moon
right.
landing.
Okay, so
I think,
moon landing happened.
I mean, you're the movie guy. You should know. But
Google's a movie guy.
But yeah, so that's the theory, is that the moon landing was actually directed by Stanley Kubrick. Because like if you just like. Sure, you can say that I'm nuts for not thinking that we land on the moon, but if you ever watch the video footage of the moon landing, it looks so fake. Like the space shuttle and like all the equipment on there is all flimsy and like waving around like it's made out of like tinfoil or something. You know, it's just crazy.
Okay, yeah,
like,
moon
just
landing
go back.
was a year after 2001: Space Odyssey came out, meaning.
Yeah.
Most likely they filmed 2001: Space Odyssey in 1967, and then moon landing is 1969.
Okay.
Weird.
You remember that video I sent you and Tiff? It was like a skit of this guy in a classroom, and he was like, "Oh, this is the video footage of the first phone call on, or not the first phone call, but this is the first video of the first man landing on the moon." And the student's like, "Well, if he's the first guy that stepped on the moon, then who filmed it?"
Yeah,
you know, like someone had to step outside of the space shuttle to set up the camera. And mind you, we didn't have GoPros 50 years ago to just like, just like fish out there and then turn back and record us.
Right.
Like
there's no selfie stick. He wasn't holding a selfie stick.
There's no. Yeah, exactly.
The real kicker,
like,
the real kicker is, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, or Kyrie if you know. But I want to say that the camera that was filming Neil Armstrong step on the moon, the first person to ever step out onto the moon, that moment, that camera seems to be manned by a cameraman. It wasn't like on a tripod.
It has to have been.
It was literally moving along with Neil Armstrong, as if someone was holding the camera. And back then it's like, no GoPros. Like all the cameras are gigantic. It's on your shoulder. There's a shoulder rig, and they're just like filming this guy walk down. And I'm like, was he not the first person on the moon? He had to set up the camera and everything.
Neil Armstrong's okay. So if we land on the moon, Neil Armstrong's not the first man to step foot on the moon. The cameraman was.
Yeah,
whoever that guy is.
He's like,
so
also Neil Armstrong.
I don't know. Yeah,
we sent 2 Neil Armstrongs up in space.
Or maybe, because they said that was the first step, right? So either they lied about who the first man was to step on the moon.
Don't step on the fucking moon, man. Do not touch it.
Or Neil Armstrong stepped on the moon before that shot, set up the camera himself, and learned all about cameras, and then went back on the spaceship just to step back out again.
So he was vlogging. All the YouTubers do that nowadays, where they set up the camera and then they go to their car and they drive up to something. He was doing that. Okay, cool.
That's exactly. He's the first vlogger.
Wow,
first vlogger
he's ahead of his time.
And you know what's funny about the moon landing is that they supposedly called the president of the United States from the moon. Do you remember that?
Mm-mm.
If you look it up, there's like a video of a phone call with Nixon or whoever the president was, and he was like talking to Neil Armstrong or, correct me if I'm wrong. They had a phone conversation from the moon to the White House during the moon landing.
I don't know.
What?
I don't know. I don't know about that. Maybe.
Yeah, look it up later. It's just like, okay, whatever. But you know, with Hollywood nowadays, like anything honestly can be faked. Anything. You got Transformers, all these like heavily CGI'd movies nowadays. Like, who's to say, they're not working with news production companies? So, like, I don't know.
True, very true. Did you hear about speaking of news companies? Did you hear about how they're saying that the Chinese balloon was in fact possibly just a balloon blown off course, said by a U.S. official now. U.S. now is backtracking on their story of it being like some sort of a spy invasion of China.
Wait. So what? I'm confused.
Some U.S. officials are coming out and saying that they have been tracking that Chinese balloon from China. They knew it when it took off. They knew that. And they tracked it. And now they're saying that they did know that it got blown off course because it was headed towards Guam. And when it got to Guam or near Guam, it suddenly it veered off because some strong winds took it across the entire continent of North America, all the way to South Carolina.
That sounds fishy, yeah.
But
it sounds as fishy as
look it up though. Like it's official. Okay, it's official news.
I will. And that sounds as stupid as like saying like, oh, when Trump was president, he also had spy balloons come into the country, and it's like, well, how come they didn't know then? And if you didn't know then, how do you know now that that's what happened?
Yeah, it's just so convenient that you bring it up now.
We will maybe never know. To be honest, they might just. This probably will just get buried under, as news cycles keep coming.
Yeah.
I think they'll just kind of stop talking about it.
China flew a balloon, a weather balloon, over one of the most top secret military bases over Montana. And we just let it skid by and we shot it down days later. That's what I remember.
In South Carolina.
Yes.
It flew all the way across America, and who knows how much more stuff it supposedly would have picked up.
There's a good alibi. There's a good alibi. They didn't want to shoot it down over land. They wanted to shoot it down over water because they didn't want to endanger people. For that reason, I'm like, fine. I can understand why they didn't shoot it down immediately.
What would have been better, and if I was the U.S. government, I should have probably thought of, is what if they just had like 4 drones holding a net, and they fly it under the balloon,
just catch it,
shoot the balloon, and it just catches it, and then it just like wraps it up like a Christmas present.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Or something like that.
I was gonna say, why didn't they just fly a big ass fan up there and just blow it the other way? We don't want your stinking balloon, and just blow it back to China.
Yeah, because do you really have to shoot it down? How thick is this balloon? Can you just poke it with a knife?
It was 3 cars worth, right? It was like as big as 3 cars put together.
Really?
Or 3 buses or something. 3 vehicles of some sort.
It's that big? Mm-hmm. Okay, I don't know. I just saw a picture of it. I don't know in comparison.
Here's another thing.
The size.
Here's another thing. They used $2 million of our taxpayers' money to send a missile, $2 million missile, to go destroy a balloon. From what they can gather, was only worth about $200,000 of tech in that balloon.
I really think they could have used like a sniper rifle and just snipe it out.
Right? Like in the video games, when we play our video games, we just take little like pistols and machine guns in Halo and we just start shooting at the biggest, most high-tech alien thing ever. And it usually blows it up after 20 minutes of just button smashing. They should have just done that.
Yeah, and this is a balloon, it's not made out of metal. It's not, I don't know. I don't think a missile is needed to take it down.
True.
So it's 3 buses large? Okay.
I think so.
Well, I guess maybe my theory with the net wouldn't have worked then. I thought this balloon
you just gotta have a big net.
It's like one of those nets they have at golf courses, like Top Golf, to make sure it isn't like the balls don't fly over.
Right. How do you feel about the China U.S. tensions now as a Chinese American, because that kind of, if we go to war or if tensions get weirder and stranger, do you think it would incite the Asian hate stuff again? Like, would they be like, oh, you're a Chink, you're a Chinese person?
Yeah, I think so. Just because, like, which is really ironic. I feel like the Democrats, they really want to like destroy Russia and fight Russia, and like the Republicans are like, oh no, we shouldn't fight the Russians, but we should fight the Chinese. So I feel like it's the same allegorical narrative on both sides, but with different superpowers.
Yeah, and then these two superpowers, I don't think
the Democrats aren't. Mm-hmm. Like the Democrats, I don't think they're too big on trying to fight China, but I'm hearing it from the right side of politics where they like really want to ramp things up with China. It sounds like, and
so I
don't like either of these conflicts. I don't think it's really a war we should be fighting. But yeah,
because you're a communist.
Of course, that's what a communist would say.
That's what a communist would say. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, just looking at how like not to even really talk about the war directly, but like I saw articles where like I don't think this was satire. I think this was a real article, but like they weren't allowing, like in cat competitions, they weren't allowing the Russian blue cat to be entered into these competitions just because they're Russian blues or something like that.
My brain just did like mental Olympics, because if initially I thought you were referring to cats, which I now know that you are referring to cats. But then I was like, what's a blue cat? And I was like, that sounds like some high tech like naval airplane thing. Oh, fly that blue cat over there and bomb the village. Like, ooh, what's a blue cat?
Yeah, so
blue cat
this was last year. This was like right after the conflict, went international with the whole Russia-Ukraine thing. But from NPR on March 3rd, 2022, there's an article that says the United Nation of Cat Federations bans Russian cats from its competitions.
Why?
Just because they're Russian.
What did the cats do to you?
I don't even think it's like the cats have to be from Russia. It's like this breed of cat could not be a part of these competitions because they're named Russian blues. Or actually, you know what? Let me see. I might be wrong about that. As of Tuesday, no cats bred in Russia. So no cats bred in Russia may be imported and registered in any FIFE pedigree
because
book outside Russia.
They're going to spread some Russian virus over here? Like, what's wrong with these cats?
Yeah, I don't know. But I just saw the headline of this article. I thought it was satire, but it's from NPR. I don't know the details of it, but it's just the sentiment of like Russophobia. It's been around for a long time. I don't think we ever got out of the Cold War with Russia.
Yeah.
But, like I'm afraid that would happen to like Chinese people if we actually had like a major conflict with China. Like they wouldn't allow
Chinese cats.
I think it was like
no more lion dancing.
Maybe it was like the US Open, or I don't know, like tennis matches and stuff. Like they just wouldn't let any Russian players in there. Like I'm pretty sure the World Cup, I didn't look this up, but I'm pretty sure they didn't even let Russia compete in the World Cup. And then I think they're talking about that with the Olympics next year too.
Oh no! They in the past Olympics, the ones that just happened 4 years ago now, I guess
they banned them. Yeah, they did ban them last time. They couldn't
fly their flag. The flag was not allowed. So then,
and
even the name Russia wasn't allowed. So they were called something Federation or something. They would call something weird.
I don't know.
I thought they were a new powerhouse in the Olympics. I was like, ooh, what country is this? That's so good. But they're just Russia. Just Russia. No.
Which they are really great in the Olympics, especially like gymnastics, I think.
They're fantastic.
They kill it in gymnastics.
Yeah, growing up, I always thought they had the hottest gymnasts too.
Yeah, they got some beautiful people there. But I'm afraid that kind of sentiment is going to go towards Chinese people, They
do not have the hottest gymnasts in China, though. No, the sentiment is not the same.
They do not. not in that regard. But as far as like
they have like 10-year-olds competing against like 16-year-old
if you find them attractive, I might be questioning what's on your search history. But no, like I'm afraid that like this phobia towards another country might happen with China if this happens. And as much as like I have this disdain for like communist China and stuff, but like at the same time, it's like, I don't know, I think all of these superpowers, America, Russia, China, we're probably all just as bad as each other, honestly. But in our own narrative, we're the good guys, you know? And, you know, I don't want to see this conflict happen at all. But yeah, I do worry about maybe what if they start banning, you know, Chinese people from being in the Olympics, or, you know, Chinese sanctions, which I don't think can happen because everything's made in China, and that would deeply hurt everyone's economy, like everybody.
Yeah.
But though I think that's my biggest worry with this conflict is like what happens to us, you know?
Well,
Like
from an economical standpoint, I feel like it's kind of hard because I think the Democrats are so entwined with the Chinese people's, the Chinese government, and like business wise, that it'd be hard. I just don't see it. I don't know, but I'm a pleb, just talking my nonsensical political opinions. But I would say they're so entwined that I don't see it happen. I don't know if there's going to be a full blown like, you know, like the Democrats are going to try and keep it together. In fact, I would say what I was saying earlier about the balloon thing. I think it was Democrat officials that were saying that it was in fact a weather balloon blown off course, whereas the Republicans are like doubling down on the fact they're like, no, this
is a Chinese balloon.
Yeah, this is like, even if it was an accident, the fact that it crossed over into our country's territory, that is already a violation, an international violation, and it must be dealt with or whatever, right? And so yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like there's enough protection around this whole thing from political side of things that I don't know. I part of me thinks like, I don't know if a war could ever truly happen.
I hope not. But I've heard people say that, you know, war might happen in 2025. You know, the tensions are going to start like ramping up and up, you know, as time goes on till then.
Well, just do like an internet war or something like that, you know, like just dominate headlines with, you know, whatever, sway your opinions. Just no bloodshed. No bloodshed, no bio war, no whatever. Just do your little political crap, and I don't know.
Yeah.
You don't.
But yeah, I think things are way more interesting
when there's war.
No. Like, okay, so all right, I guess I'm framing it wrong, but like, yeah, so like the conflict that we have with Russia is one thing, but I think it's like way more complicated if there was something between us and China, just because of how like tied down we are to each other. Yeah, like I guess with us and Russia, it's like we're not really relying, at least the U.S. speaking, we're not too reliant on Russia's economy, but we are very reliant on China's economy, and you know, vice versa, most likely. You know,
and we also have a lot of interest in Taiwan, which is at odds with China at the same time. So it's very weird, very complicated.
Yeah, and maybe I think I should look more into that. You know, because like Ukraine's one thing. I don't know what interest we have in Ukraine. I don't know why we are spending so much tax dollars.
Ask Biden. I think he might know.
Yes.
Old Joe has some answers, I think.
I mean, if
he remembers.
Well, see, that was the thing, is that like I heard that there's a lot of corruption in Ukraine tied down with U.S. politicians, because I think like you know, like Hunter Biden works on the board of Burisma, which is like an energy company in Ukraine, which he has no background in energy, so I don't know why he's working at an energy company in Ukraine.
He does have a background in energy. It's called crack cocaine.
That's a good one.
Powered by crack cocaine.
Well, there you go. But hey, can you explain the other politicians with children that work in that have something to do with Ukraine? I think who is it? John Kerry, maybe? I might be getting some of these politicians wrong, but I think Mitt Romney has a child that works for some company in Ukraine. Is it John Kerry or John McCain? There's a couple others, and I think Nancy Pelosi.
John McCain's daughter worked on The View for a little bit. That's all I know.
Okay.
Unless The View is a Ukrainian company. I don't know.
I just saw like a meme that kind of like pointed out all these politicians that have children that work for some company in Ukraine. They're just like, oh, maybe, you know, maybe we have other interests there, you know?
I want to say yes. I want to say yes.
Because why are we spending so much money and resources trying to protect Ukraine? Like, yes, I understand.
The humanitarian side, man. Yeah,
But
communist.
look at this. But what about when other countries are attacked by other countries?
like the Uyghurs.
Yeah, the Uyghurs and the Uyghur Muslims in China. Like I heard that was a thing.
But no,
They
we're
basically-
not allowed to talk about them though for some reason.
Yeah, and like Palestine and Israel, there's an ongoing war there.
We're not allowed to talk about them for some reason.
We're not allowed to talk. Yeah, and I think we attacked Syria. I never really researched these things. They're very complex. But when America goes and bombs another country, like maybe they don't want to be bombed. I don't know. Like,
are you saying
why
countries
is
don't
all
like
this
being
happening?
bombed? Come on.
I don't think so.
Come
I don't
on.
think
It's
so.
kind of fun, isn't it? It makes things interesting.
But yeah, all I'm saying is that I think we need to spend our money helping out like homeless people or people with drug addictions right here on our own soil. I think that would be more in our own interest. Yeah,
I agree.
And,
I think as much as I would like to help other people's lives be better in other countries, if I was US, that is, like I'm not a US official, but I'm a US person. I don't have the power to help other countries like that. But if I was in charge, I would say the people here, like you and me, people listening right now, I'm like, our lives are not the best, I mean, okay, you know what? Our lives are pretty good. Our lives are pretty good compared to 99.9999999% of the world.
Mm-hmm. I heard that if you just make $30,000 a year, you're already the top 1% of the entire world.
Whew. I think that's like majority of US then, right? Most people make 30,000. I mean, I know there's people that fall underneath that, but by and large, I feel like you can easily hit that number.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you totally can, even though your life might not be that great.
Because everything's more expensive here, But that's the thing. That's the thing. Under U.S. soil, the problems that we face is that our standard of living is much higher as well. So although we make pretty cushy, we have cushy jobs, cushy everything, we can't afford Netflix and Hulu at the same time,
Yeah, shoot. Yeah, we might have to cancel one of ours with everything raising in price.
And it's like it's either eggs or milk, man. Like, come on. I need both to make my egg
gas
parts.
or electricity. Yeah, I kept hearing about like how prices of eggs have shot up.
Yeah, I
Have
didn't.
you heard about that?
I honestly, maybe
I haven't bought eggs in a while. I have eggs sitting in my fridge that I haven't.
I buy
yet.
eggs without looking at the price. I must be fucking rich then. I am. I'm like, what are the eggs with the orange yolks inside? Get those. Don't look at the price. Just get them. Get two of them. Get the 3-row ones.
If I buy eggs, I'm always getting those brown eggs because I hear those are the
Yeah, but it's not
ones.
the brown eggs though. Some of the brown eggs on the inside look like the white eggs. Okay.
Okay.
So what you gotta find is the brown that has the golden
How
orange.
do you find that?
Yolk?
Is it
you
like
gotta
a
crack it
label?
open. You gotta crack it open.
Oh, so you really don't know?
Well, the brand, certain brands are known for being very good.
Well, I
So you gotta know
definitely
your
look for
brands.
the organic ones.
No, it's Farmer's Pasture.
Okay. I just know when I shop for
Eggs.
eggs, I look for the brown eggs and I look for the USDA organic label.
Get this one. If you have this brand, get Vital Farms Eggs Organic Pasture Raised Large.
Wow, that actually populated when I was typing it.
That is the best, at least where I'm at right now. That is the best
Okay,
egg.
I want to say I've seen this too, maybe. I don't know. It's been a while since I've bought eggs.
Every egg, when you crack it open, it's orange. It's an orange yolk, not that light yellow, almost neon green looking highlighter yellow yolk. Like that's crappy eggs.
I want to say I'm getting something similar like that because the eggs that I get, I feel like are pretty good.
Yeah, good.
Same thing with milk. Like I don't buy milk often at all, and I know you can't even drink milk. But if I buy milk, I'm buying the milk in a glass bottle.
I started doing that. Yeah,
$4 or $5 for like half a gallon.
It's the.
But I don't buy milk all the time.
The-
It's just like, if I'm gonna bake some cookies at home, I like a nice glass of milk.
Right, that's true. Yeah, I started buying milk because Luca is finally off, or we're trying to wean him off breast milk now, and we're trying to get him to just drink like cow's milk. And so I started buying milk in a glass thing, so it's pricey. $9 for milk, right? $9 for milk. Not even the big kind, like it's like a smaller glass container. But then you get are you frozen right now? I think you're frozen. Because you're stuck on the face for a long time. So yeah, so Luca, we're trying to wean him off of breast milk, and we're putting him on cow's milk now. And since we've been trying to do the whole like no sugar thing and not too much salt, and we're trying to be healthy and everything. So with milk, we're trying to get organic and also the highest, most expensive thing for a new baby boy. And so we're buying the milk in the glass container, and $9.99 purchase of milk. Mm-hmm. And
what kind of milk is that? Like, I mean, obviously it's whole milk, but like
it's honestly, it's a crap deal. If you're looking for convenience, you're definitely not paying for convenience. You know why? Because the milk comes with a layer of fat that caps up at the top. Like there's this cream on top. So if you open it, you can't pour it out. Like you literally have to stab. I take a chapstick and I stab it and I try to mix it around. But even then, when you mix it and pour it out, it's still got chunks. And it's not like it's rancid milk. Like rancid milk has chunks too, but this is like healthy quality cream, you know. But it's extra work.
That sounds good.
It is really good. I look at my hand right now.
Oh,
this
so you've been drinking
eczema,
it. You've been drinking it.
I've been drinking it. It's so good, but like I'm paying the price.
Oh man, I gotta try a little bit of it whenever I come in town.
Yeah, my eczema is crazy right now. But anyway, yeah, if you're coming over next week or 2 weeks or whatever, we'll have that milk.
You know what I want to try?
Really
I really want to try raw milk.
You can buy that.
It's illegal.
At my store, no, it's literally it's written raw milk, unless they're just calling it that. But like not as pasteurized, right? Like lesser or like not pasteurized at all milk.
I'm not sure, but let's see.
Because the milk I'm buying for Luca, it's milk that isn't as pasteurized. So it is pasteurized to some degree, but not as much as your
cool.
common
So
milk.
there's 10 states that allows farms to sell raw milk. Texas is one of them. I didn't know that.
Oh, and obviously California is one of them.
Nope.
No, because California isn't all bad.
No. California is not on it.
California's not all.
So Torrance.
How am I getting my milk then?
I don't think yours is real raw milk, like straight from a farm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so they're just calling it that.
Yeah, so Arkansas, Illinois,
that is terrible.
Kansas, Massachusetts, Minnesota, Nebraska, New York, Oklahoma, Texas, and Wisconsin are the 10 states that have given the nod to on-farm sales of raw milk. That's good to know. Crap, well, I didn't find out where to get raw milk since it's legal in my state.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
There was a movie about that had something like a gag, like a they had like a bit about raw milk being traded on the black market. I can't think of it. I don't know.
That sounds
popped up
interesting
for me. But yeah. Anyways, back to the whole like, are Asians gonna be? I don't know. Like, are we gonna see a surge in Asian hate, or like Asians viewed in a different way?
I'm so sorry. Let me just clear this up. I should have read more into it. So right before we go to that topic, so in California, sales of raw milk for human consumption are legal on farms and in stores as long as the milk meets market milk requirements and other regulations. So I guess it kind of is legal in California. I don't know. Just wanted to clear that up. I
don't even know what that means.
I don't know either.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah. So you were talking about.
I see cartons with raw milk. Period. That's all I know.
All right.
But yeah, back to the Asian thing. I don't know. I think we're in for an interesting ride. I think Asians are in a weird space, not because of like where we are now. I feel like we've always kind of been in a weird space, right? Like we're historically like the whole yellow peril thing. We're the Asian men are more effeminate, like that's how we've always been viewed and looked down upon or whatever. And then like no matter how Americanized we get, I feel like we're still treated in a very exotic way, like there's just something like, whereas like I don't know, maybe I might be speaking out of turn, but like I feel like other minorities have an easier time kind of blending in, whereas Asians don't blend in as much as well and easily.
But you can't really say that too, because
we just like look the most different.
You can't really say that either though, because there's like that term model minority that they always talk about with Asians. We are the
I feel like that's actually one of the reasons why we don't blend in, because of that. We stick out like a sore thumb.
So we stick out as minorities,
right?
Is what you're saying, right? Is that what you're trying to say?
Well, we're not the majority.
Yes.
Okay,
yeah,
so I guess we're not the majority, and then we also stick out as the minorities, because as a minority, we don't fall in the same. If you had to categorize minorities, we kind of fall outside the bracket of a lot of minority things. So we're just kind of like, and I guess in that sense, we really are kind of like, we stick out.
Yeah.
Like a sore thumb.
Yeah. Like you're saying within minorities.
I guess like media representation aside, this second thing, I guess like academically and economically, we do stick out. Like statistically, I think that you can say that that's an objective truth, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. And, and I guess that also goes with like, us like Chinese, Korean, Japanese, and like Southern Asian too, right? Like Indian, but they're kind of in a different bubble though. Like India, like they're also like a superpower, but they also don't have ongoing conflict with the U.S. either.
Yeah, they don't have. They're not the. They don't look the part of conflict with the U.S.
Unless if you have some like xenophobic bigots that think they're like some like Middle Eastern terrorist.
True. Yeah.
Sometimes
so not to downplay Indian Americans' experience in the U.S. as being much easier than East Asians, I guess. Orientals. I think everyone has it a hard time, but I do think from my lens, yellow people have a very they're in a very interesting bracket, I guess. But dude, did you see that one video that went viral recently? It's like a Vice Vice video.
Yeah.
Where they brought like a panel of Asian people.
Yeah, I remember you tried to send this to me like months ago, and I never watched it. And I just think I just forgot. Like, not that I wasn't trying to watch it, but I remember that you tried to send me that now. But I saw the viral clip. It's like a 1-minute clip. And I guess just play it, because like I'm gonna be talking out of my ass if I just start talking about it.
All right, here we go.
Statistically, it is true that Asians, right, on average, make more money, in terms of medium, make more money, better test scores, get into better colleges, all that stuff. I think the question is, why is that? And I don't know, model minority, whatever that label wants to mean.
That's actually a myth, because we cannot be...
Well, no, listen. Well, let me finish my point. We need to observe what makes people successful and unsuccessful. And I think when you look at trends that are generally true in the Asian community, not of everyone, but are generally true, usually you have families that are sticking together. You have, people are taught to work hard in school, not get into trouble. I think that translates to why Asians en masse are successful. And I don't think you have to be Asian or white, for that matter, to not have kids out of wedlock, not, commit crime, not cause trouble, whatever it is. It's just a matter of common sense. That's what makes people successful. And if that's so-called assimilation, having a nuclear family, buying a house, going to school, whatever it is, then okay, call me a pro-assimilation then.
I think there's a difference between assimilation and erasure.
Yes.
I gotta watch the rest of this. I need to watch the full version of this, because I want.
Dude, I would love to do a react video to this.
Let's do it. Yeah, because I don't know, that purple-haired Asian girl was trying to say that the model minority was a myth. I want to hear what her rebuttal is, if she ever did speak on it later in the video. And then the lady at the end was like, oh, there's a difference between assimilation and erasure. I'm curious to see what they have to say about it. But I agree.
What is the erasure? Okay, hold on.
Exactly. I don't know what erasure means. That's why I want to hear about it.
I just want to say, this guy sounded nervous as fuck.
He did.
He was just nervous.
Well, you're in a Vice debate, first of all.
I don't care if you agree or disagree with him. They strategically placed this guy smack dab in the middle of people. Like everyone surrounding him looked offended.
Yeah.
And for him to like just kind of like double down on what he was saying, I think that's
smack down in the
that's
middle.
pretty badass.
Just so he can get those people sitting in front of him to turn around to look at him.
Yeah.
Like if he was sitting in the
Fuentes.
front, people behind him would just be staring at him already. But they had to put him in the back just so they could have those people turn around to react to what he was saying.
It looked good. The producers knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, this is going to look so good when everyone has to turn around, break their neck just to see this guy talk. So good. So good. But yeah, I do think he makes a bit of sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would
I don't
say
know.
as a whole,
Okay,
Asians assimilate the best out of other immigrants in terms of like climbing the like the socioeconomic status ladder, I guess.
Yeah, we do well statistically. We do well academically. We generally make more money. And he's just trying to make a point as to why that is, right? Like, why do Asians do so well? Call me crazy, but that makes sense in a sense of like people having a kid out of wedlock, right? Like, there's nothing. It's not like you. It's not saying that it's bad to have a kid out of wedlock. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's what he's trying to say.
That's not his point at all.
It's like, if you want to have a kid out of, it's not his point. If you want to have a kid out of wedlock, more power to you. I hope you hope you the best, like be a good parent, provide for that kid. All is good. But statistically, if you have a kid out of wedlock, it implies many things that come with that.
Yeah, and it's not always true.
Whereas
like,
if you have
you can imply
if you have a kid, or I was gonna say, like, if you have a kid with both parents intact,
and so that's what I was gonna say. Like,
statistically, it leads one way.
Out of wedlock doesn't always mean single parent or parents are split. Sometimes I guess out of wedlock could literally just mean you have a kid with someone without being married, but you could still be together. But I think he is probably referencing to those families that do split. When he says that, but yeah, like definitely, like I've never really seen Asian people have a kid out of wedlock. I've never really seen that. Maybe maybe like one or two like high school pregnancies that I've seen. Like one guy that I know, he did have a kid in high school, so that was like the only kid out of wedlock Asian that I think I can remember. And then Asians do really enforce like getting good grades typically for their kids. I'm glad that our parents were too strict about it, but I know some Asian kids have it pretty tough when it comes to that.
Definitely. I think there's a little bit of a lag between you and me.
Yeah, I think so too, because like I'm like saying stuff and I'm like, why is he not reacting at all? Like, am I sounding stupid here?
No. You make sense. It seems like this guy's the villain in the video, but I feel like he makes a lot of sense to me. I'm all for inclusion. I'm all for considering everyone's walk of life. I want everyone to feel happy around me. I want everyone to feel like they're seen and validated and all these things, but that doesn't mean in order to achieve that, you can't also not consider other ways of thinking that would then lead to understanding how things are, right? So if you're saying Asians do well, or what is the point? What are they arguing
That's what
against?
I'm saying.
I don't understand.
I haven't seen the whole video. I just saw that one clip, so I don't really know what the debate is about.
Yeah. Well, okay. I did watch this. I saw like the first couple minutes of this interview, like the original video, and I know that the video was basically titled. I don't know if it was titled this, but basically the debate was between conservative Asians versus liberal Asians. Liberal Asians have a certain take on what it means to be Asian, and then a conservative, and it seems like they only had one conservative Asian. It seems like the entire room was against him. So I guess there's not too many conservative Asians out there.
Well, but I think it's weird though, because I feel like Asians are more conservative though. You know, just by nature or by like the stereotypical Asian values. You know, it's like, you know, get good grades. You know, get married, have kids. You know, get a good job.
Are you saying Asians are old-fashioned?
I think, well, I mean, I can't speak for like new Asian Americans, but I feel like a lot of the values that we learn as Asians are typically all very conservative. But what I think is that the conservative party in the U.S., they just suck at trying to like pander to Asians, I guess. I don't know. The Democrats are doing a much better job bringing in all the Asians on their side. I'll tell you that. And
I think this is the part that rubs people the wrong way. I think he's basically saying there's a certain excellence to Asians, and that what he's trying to pinpoint in terms of what Asians do well, I think sounds very elitist, and that elitism seems to be rubbing the liberals in that room the wrong way.
All the stuff that he mentioned,
if you're looking at it from
yeah, sorry, go ahead. Sorry,
I think there's a lag between you and me. There's definitely a lag going on.
But yeah, go just finish what you were saying, because it sounded epic.
Oh no, this nut's so good in my mouth.
But actually,
no.
Okay, go ahead. I'm pulling something up.
Go ahead.
So this is what reminds me of this article. Or here, let me send it to you too. Actually, I have it on the notes right now. It's that link at the bottom. So the Smithsonian, they had like this African American History Museum display. I don't know. I've never been to the Smithsonian's before, so what I understand is like just these like giant museums in DC. But they had like this part in the museum. They took it down now because people were complaining about it. But there was a section of it where they were talking about race and the aspects and assumptions of whiteness and white culture in the U.S.
Oh no!
Yeah, if you click on that and scroll down a little, you'll see like this like pictograph thing. And so it reads, white dominant culture or whiteness refers to the ways white people and their traditions, attitudes, and ways of life have been normalized over time and are now considered standard practices in the U.S. And since white people still hold most of the institutional power in America, we all have internalized some aspects of white culture, including people of color. So the first one is rugged individualism. And I don't think, and like stereotypically speaking, Asians are more like a collectivism or collectivist culture. So this one might not apply.
We're communists.
Exactly. We're comrades. But yeah, this one I wouldn't say applies too much to us Asians, but so this is talking about white culture. It says the individual is a primary unit, self-reliance, independence, and autonomy, highly valued, rewarded. Individuals seem to be in control of their environment. You get what you deserve. So then the second one is family structure. The nuclear family, mother, father, 2 to 3 children is the ideal social unit. Husband is the breadwinner and head of household. Wife is homemaker, subordinate to the husband. Children should have their own rooms, be independent. I feel like that's something that, like typical Asian families that I've come across believe as well, right? Like we basically grew up like that. We had our own room.
That looks identical to an Asian household.
Emphasis. Okay, so the third one is emphasis on scientific method. Objective, rational, linear thinking, cause and effect relationships, quantitative emphasis. And that to me is kind of like insulting. It's like, what, only white people can be that scientific? Like there's plenty of, other cultures that are just as scientific. And
oh, hold on a second. Okay, hold on a second. So let's go back up. So this whole thing seems like it's making
white
out
people.
Whiteness to be bad. Yeah, it's making it out to be a bad thing. That's what I'm getting. So if you break it down, family structure. The nuclear family, father, mother, 2.3 children is the ideal social unit. Okay, 2.3 children
I think
inside.
they mean 2 to 3.
Father and mother.
2.3 children doesn't make any sense. But yeah, that does look funny though.
Sure. Oh, I was thinking as like an average.
Oh, okay. Oh,
I think it's like an
okay.
average
I'm gonna
of
say you
children.
gotta
Maybe
have-
like the
you gotta
average
have
household is
0.3
2.3.
children. That makes no sense. Okay, yeah, no, you're right.
But I'm like, having father and mother, that's a white thing. And if we were like anti-white, say we don't like white people because we feel oppressed by white people, is it implying that we should go against what's bad, what we deem as bad, and say don't have a father and mother in the household, and in fact don't even have children, and just be alone forever? That would be the ultimate fuck you in your face, white people. Second point, husband is breadwinner and head of household. Is it saying that if you want to give the middle finger to white people or white culture, hey men, don't be the breadwinner. Don't be the head of your household. Don't take responsibility for your life and be an idiot. Be lazy. Be a deadbeat. Right? I don't know. Wife is the homemaker and subordinate to the husband. Most women, I would say, and I'm not saying this is all, okay? There's anomalies in both realms. Like obviously there's some men, they really don't want to be the breadwinners. They're more nurturer. They're more like nurturers. And there's some women that are just like, I am career driven. Yes. But at the end of the day, I would like to think most people would like to have children one day.
Yes, yeah.
I feel like it's almost like a biological thing. Like at some point you go, maybe I need to get an education. Oh, at some point I think I need to get a job. Oh, at some point I need to, buy a house. It's in us to kind of like progress in some way. And if it's not in those like, stereotypical ways of like progressing through life with these like certain,
milestones,
traditional, milestones, then it's career. Like what do you want to do with your career? And you focus on it. And you do it to the best of your ability. But most of us want to have children, and if we do have children, the burden of having a kid, a baby, is going to be on the mom. And I think from a biological standpoint, it also makes sense that the mom is going to be at home to nurture the baby as much as they can, because they're the one providing the milk. They're the ones, and obviously there's a lot of like scientific things that have developed, like we can buy formula now, all these things that kind of free up the mom to stay working and whatnot. Nothing wrong with that. But from a biological sense of how a woman's body and just how that dynamic between man and wife is, whatever, I do think the wife is meant to be a homemaker, and subordinate to the husband. I think you could pull out a very wrong meaning of that. And what I mean is like subordinate, I think sounds bad. It sounds like like the husband is the higher power and the woman just needs to like listen to the man. And I don't know if that's true. I think, to me, I do think the husband and the wife are more of a team. And I feel like this right here, this writing here is kind of slanderous, I would say.
Absolutely.
To kind of make this whole home life to be a bad thing. Like, if I know anything about being married, is that what really works best is to be a team. And the team, say you're in sports, one player, say you're in volleyball, right? There's like two players on each side. We've seen that in the Olympics, right? I'm assuming we have. I think volleyball. Like there's always one short volleyball player
on each side, but yeah.
Oh, like the two-man
I guess so.
ones.
I don't know.
Because I'm thinking about the Olympic volleyball players that the famous ones, the U.S. ones. It's like a tall blonde chick and like a shorter brunette chick.
But okay.
Like they're in the Olympics like every year. Point is, one lobs and does all the stuff that short people are better at, and the other one is taller, so they stand by the net and they can do all the spiking, over the net, and they're also good at blocking, right? And they both have unique attributes. They could do different jobs, but they're all for the same goal. So to me, like being married is kind of like that. Like one's a man, one's a woman. They have unique attributes that make them succeed in certain avenues. And if it was the other way around, not that it can't happen, but it's I think it'd be harder. And so because of that, working towards the same goal, it seems to be the game. and there's different jobs required for working towards the same goal. And to me, that's what being married is, having a husband and wife. Children should have their own rooms and be independent. If that is a bad white culture thing, then are you saying that children should not have their own rooms
independent?
And they should be completely dependent on their parents or something? Like that's just backwards. That's completely backwards. Like I'm glad you brought this to my attention, because this is actually, the more I'm talking about it, the more I'm getting pissed off about it. Because I don't care if this is the hallmark of white culture, but to me, this seems to be the foundation to life itself. I can envision cavemen, Neanderthals adhering to this. Like, Neanderthals need to stick together as a pack because there's so many predators back then. I think there was fucking dinosaurs and gigantic mammoths that was going to just stab them through the heart and take them on wild journeys on their tusks, and there's just like human ornaments on their tusks. You got to stick together and protect each other. And the only way one of the best ways to do that is to have a nuclear family, have the husband be the breadwinner, and the fact that he brings back the bread. And I guess back in those days, it's been meat, bring back meat and berries and nuts and whatever you can scavenge for and hunt, right? And then the wife is a homemaker. I don't understand why that is viewed as a bad thing. Do we have modern advancements now that can actually push that aside and kind of give more freedoms to people? Yes, and I embrace that too. That's fantastic. But to say the other way around is bad is nonsensical. All right, second part, emphasis on scientific method, objective, rational, linear thinking. If that's bad, then you're saying irrational thinking is good. Irrational thinking is for the psychotic. Like people, you see like homeless people on the side of the street and they start talking to themselves and they're rubbing their ear and they're smacking themselves on the side of the head and they go to the skies. That is irrational, non-objective thinking. I don't know what the fuck they're on. And it's, quite frankly, it's very scary to be next to someone that's doing that. So if you're saying that what objective, rational, linear thinking is good or is bad, that's fucking backwards to me. Cause and effect relationships. That's all relationships.
Yeah.
Causal and effect. That's just like that's life. You can't have an effect of anything without something causing it to affect. Like that's like, I don't even understand that. Like without cause and effect, without a cause, nothing ever actually happens. Quantitative emphasis, like that's just being able to orderly do things. I want order in my life. I want to be able to control things and, build things, So if you can't quantitatively emphasize your life in ways that would expand your horizons, that's also very backwards. I don't know. I can go on this forever.
It's a lot. That's why.
This is fucking nuts.
I thought that. I mean, it's a real thing, and they took it down now. But this actually, I think this happened like at the height of.
I'm glad this is still
this
up.
happened like at the height of like all the like the George Floyd stuff and all that, and this was like 2 years ago. So this is like old news now. But whenever you showed me that clip with the Vince Dow guy, this is what it reminded me of. Because they were basically trying to argue against all the points he was making. And I was like, this sounds very similar to this.
So I think that if you're against whiteness, in the sense of like you're against some of those talking points right there, you're kind of against progress.
Yeah.
I think you're against progress.
Yeah.
Because in order to progress, you have to build upon something. But if you're willing to tear down everything that is now and not even listen to history, not even listen to anything that is relevant because it's like patriarchal, it's like it's part of the patriarchy. Fuck it.
I mean,
destroy
this
it,
right
burn it.
here is
Down
like
with it.
the hallmark of what cultural Marxism is.
Yeah. You must know that, don't you? Communist.
This is what I do. Let's see. What is cultural Marxism? I always hear about it, but like definition wise, I don't know what it is.
I think cultural Marxism is basically.
Let's see. All right, I'm gonna read just one paragraph of it.
Okay. Well, in the sense of why cultural. Okay,
cultural Marxism can be a controversial term. Some assert there's no such thing, and others use the term as a catch-all for anything they see as undermining society. In short, Cultural Marxism is a revolutionary leftist idea that traditional culture is the source of oppression in the modern world. Cultural Marxism is often linked to the insistence upon political correctness, multiculturalism, and perpetual attacks on the foundations of culture, the nuclear family, marriage, patriotism, traditional morality, law and order, etc. Cultural Marxists are assumed to be committed to establishing economic Marxism, in which case their cultural attacks are a necessary preparation for their ultimate goal. So literally what we just read like covers this definition of cultural Marxism. Political correctness, I mean, definitely is loaded in that whole pictograph. Perpetual attacks on the foundation of culture. It mentioned the nuclear family, having, the patriarchy and matriarchy in a family together. Law and order. Yeah, like literally everything. Like you can relate all those things together, basically. Everything that this pictograph is against is in the definition of cultural Marxism.
Yeah, I think if you are a cultural Marxist, if you play that game out, you don't really benefit anyone at all. Cultural Marxism, to me, I think it's like another way of saying nihilism.
Yes, it's like a postmodern philosophy.
Like, I've never been a religious person, right? But if you read into religion, most religions say life is not fair and life is suffering. And that is kind of like that's just the bottom line. That's just life. If you look at nature, that's what it is. It's only as humans where we try to create equality, we try to create fairness because it's nice. And nice has its place to give everyone an equal chance to do things, right? And come up in life, whatever. But then when you go as far to say like, well, you know what? We have to give chances and then you don't get your chance because you've already had your chance. Like that kind of swings the whole thing back around in a way where it's now like, isn't that kind of oppressive in and of itself now? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've never really looked into like cultural Marxism on the internet. Like I hear it all the time, but
It's when your empathy takes you a little past the part of utility of the empathy, where then the empathy itself becomes a bad thing. Because if you're empathetic towards a lot of causes, but then your empathy becomes the law, for example, right? Like, oh, we must be fair to everyone or whatever, right? And then once something happens where it's not fair, which is kind of like the basis for life, like bottom line of life itself is life is not fair. But if but then you're basically trying to force things out of the hands of nature by making everything fair. And if you make that the law, that becomes oppressive.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
No, I get it. It's kind of like, ironically, it's kind of like you're trying to play God. You don't like how something is, so you try to manipulate things, even if it's against the nature of what that thing is.
But the trick of it, though, now is, where do you draw the line to empathy? Because we all want to be nice. I want to be nice. I do want fairness across the board. Like, I do want everyone to be happy around me, whatever, right? I want sunshine and rainbows as much as possible. But at what cost, right? Like, at what point do you cross into the barrier of like, oh, hold on a second, now you're making things interesting or very problematic for, say, white people. White people are viewed as the villains now, And then white people have to walk this earth with infinite guilt, even though it's their ancestors that are, that painted this narrative. People are just born into this life that we don't have control over. I didn't ask to be Asian, but I'm Asian now.
And so, all right, so that's what I have a concern with, like, all of this, like, tension with China and stuff. Like, what if us, I guess specifically Chinese people, what if we're like the new white people in the future? The white people in the past have been the colonizers and took over people's land and stuff. And then I feel like the way China's conducting themselves on a global scale, we're going to Africa, we're like I don't know about help, but they're building infrastructure in Africa, making all these business deals. Like, they're kind of looked at as like neo-colonists, and China's a big powerhouse now, and probably for a long time in the future. And what if Chinese people in the future will be looked at as the same way as people are looking at white people now, with like this kind of reverse racism going on?
To me, I don't think it's the same, because colonizers, for one, they plant their flag in the land and they call it part of that country. Like England goes, hey, here, Hong Kong. Okay, stick my, British, I'm doing the Chinese accent for a British person. Stick the flag in this Hong Kong soil. It's part of Britain, right? Or, France goes to Vietnam, plants their flag in the soil and actually claims it, And then not only do they put their flag and they penetrate the soil, they impregnate the people there with ideas of their life, So like they spread the language, they spread philosophy, religion, everything, including diseases and all sorts of different things. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, and I'm not saying it's a good thing. It's just it's what's happened, and we live with the benefits of that have happened to us. We also have to deal with the history of the pain or whatever, that if we feel it, then we also have to deal with that at the same time. But you can't have the good without the bad. You can't have the bad without the good. You just can't choose to look at just one side and it's like, oh, it's a bad thing, it's a bad thing, it's a bad thing. And some good stuff came out of it. And vice versa. You can't just be like happy-go-lucky and be like, oh, what's so bad about the colonization? Whatever. That's what happened back then. Is China sticking their flag in, say, Africa and and being like, hey, this is part of Africa or part of China now. And hold on a second. All you Africans, you gotta speak Chinese. This is the language. And also, you guys also have to be communists because we're communists. Are they spreading themselves out like that? Or are they just going, I make money, you make money?
Yeah, they're doing that, but I think they'll probably still kind of own the countries through debt. Yeah.
Okay. So it's a financial game. And the issue with what China's doing isn't so much spreading creed and religion. It's more so placing a debt upon the people, which they can never, burying people in debt.
With my little knowledge on it, I've heard. Yeah, that's basically what I heard. Yes. Yeah. Like they're helping build infrastructure, buildings, things like that all across like South America, and Africa and stuff. And ultimately it'll basically be heavily Chinese influenced,
If China plays their cards right, I feel like they'll never have to face the colonizer label. If they play their cards right, say they do well economically, they're going to have the power to control the narrative in some sense. And if they play their cards right with US and they keep the Democrats happy or whatever, or vice versa, whatever it is, they don't have to worry
honestly,
about it.
they don't really
put people in debt. They control the narrative.
I don't think they have to worry about it too much either, because as we know, like whenever the conflict with Russia happened, the US sanctioned Russia really badly. They basically stopped using the Russian rubles, all that kind of stuff. And that led to a problem in itself, because Russia is a big supplier of oil and natural gas for a lot of Europe, a lot of other countries, like Asia, countries in Asia and places like that. And because the U.S. cut out, sanctioned the ruble essentially, or like anything Russian out of the economy, a lot of these, and then so Russia's counter to that was, okay, well, if you're going to sanction us out of your economical world, we're going to only take payments in rubles when it comes to gas and oil. So in the past, the petrodollar, which is basically the US dollar, is the currency that all these countries would use to pay for gas and oil and stuff from everywhere. Like everyone was using a dollar as a standard, as a currency standard to purchase gas and oil. So now with Russia saying, okay, we're not taking any more US dollars, you got to pay us in rubles. So a lot of countries are now dropping the US dollar to pay for these, the commodity of gas and oil and whatever else they might be getting from Russia. And so I think Russia, it's Brazil, Russia, India, and China. They created, and South Africa, I think. They created the BRICS, BRICS. I think South Africa is included. But it's basically like this new economy, the big player in the economy that are basically kind of like breaking out of the US and European led system of economy, if that makes sense.
They call it the Brexit.
That's BRICS. It's BRIC. Yeah,
Brexit.
If it's South Africa, it's like BRICSA, BRICSA. Brexit. But yeah, it's called the BRICS nations. And yeah, basically their whole thing is that they're not using the US dollar as a standard for trading anymore. And so they're basically talking about how the US dollar is kind of on a downfall. I don't know how fast this trajectory is. It is on a downfall. It's still the strongest right now, but who knows when it'll dip below someone else's currency.
Who's the second most powerful?
I'm gonna guess China.
Who's right behind him?
I don't know. I'm not very well researched in talking about all this stuff.
I thought it would be like
about this stuff on a surface level.
Yeah.
So if I'm sounding stupid to anybody, I kind of am, or I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert. I feel like I sound stupid all the time. I like to dabble into like stuff here and there. But yeah, I want to say China's probably number 2.
Yeah. I think China's still like a third world country, basically. There's so many like homeless people. I mean, not homeless, poor people there, to the point where I don't think they would be considered a developed
country. I don't know.
Yet.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know.
I would think a developed country
they might be
in
a
that
second
position.
world country still, because I think second world countries are countries that are still like in their industrial phase.
Yeah. And that's where China's at then. Yeah. Yeah, getting back to the whole that video we just watched though. I was thinking about, as we're talking for the past couple minutes, I was thinking about the whole assimilation versus erasure. Erasure. How do you say that word? Erasure. Erasure. Assimilation means that we say for immigrants, we move to a country, we have to abide by the culture, right? That is in that new country, right?
Which makes total sense to me.
And so we erase our original country's identity by assimilating.
Yes.
I get what you're trying to say. What are your thoughts on that then?
I think you can assimilate, but also still keep your tradition. I don't think you have to erase everything. Like, why are you coming here if you don't want to assimilate, I guess.
If you didn't want the American life.
And then that just means that you prefer your old culture or tradition more, but you came here for a reason, So I think to some degree, like, you're going to have to assimilate, I think that's the main issue that a lot of Americans have with immigrants. Americans don't have as much of an issue with Asian immigrants, typically because, I guess one,
not the ones in that video, though.
I guess they typically don't have an issue with Asians immigrating as much, at least from a stereotypical level. Because I know in the past they didn't like Asian immigrants, but it's because taking all the jobs. But now it's they know that a lot of the Asian immigrants are probably mostly on some sort of work visa, to be honest. But they're here to work, they're here to work. They don't really have a high crime rate in Asian neighborhoods.
Except for when they go ahead and shoot their coworkers and their supervisors at
not
the mushroom farms.
Not funny, but
yes.
Ironic that did happen, and it was a serious crime.
Not funny. Very ironic. Laughing at the irony. Yes.
But yeah, stereotypically, Asian neighborhoods have very low crime rates. Everyone kind of minds their own business, and I don't know. I mean, our parents assimilated a lot. I'd say our parents assimilated a lot, and we grew up
Yeah, a lot,
feeling
yeah.
very American.
But I also have a huge
me too.
respect
So
for our
I-
culture. You know, I have a huge respect for it's not lost, it's not erased, you know? So I don't know. I feel like maybe if you watch the whole video, maybe the guy that we've been kind of vouching for this entire video, maybe he's saying like, hey, you don't have any room for your own your culture that your motherland, whatever, is, and you only have room for the American way of life. So assimilate 100%. Maybe that was the point he was making. So
I don't think
pissed
so.
off
I
the
don't
entire
think
room.
he was trying to be that extreme. I think he was being very level-headed by the way he was speaking, and everyone.
I don't know. He had like a few right-wing talking points there. I think he's pretty extreme. Even if he had one right-wing talking point, I think he's pretty extreme.
I don't know. I guess assimilation can have a bad stigma to it.
For example, Japanese people from the 1950s who immigrated here, they assimilated to a point where most Japanese Americans whose family moved here during that era, they don't speak a lick of Japanese. They are some of the most Americanized Asians.
Yeah, we don't have any of those in
America.
Texas. I think those are the Californian Japanese, or maybe Hawaiian. But I don't know too many Japanese people here, and if they are here, they're not like generations deep.
I would say don't assimilate 100%. Like, if you're gonna look at it black and white, don't do black and white. You know, it's not about not assimilating, or it's not about assimilating or erasure. It's about keeping your traditions and your identity a part of you, but
at the same time, like, you don't have to keep. I mean,
I don't know,
I guess
like,
ideally you'd want to keep the traditions, and yeah,
you gotta play ball. You gotta play ball with the society that's around you. You know, like, I don't know. Maybe we
I
should do a
assimilated
react
too
video
much
to the
because
whole
I can
video.
barely speak
I feel like
Cantonese.
there's a lot of true.
I probably do resonate more with an American white person than I would an Asian person. Yeah.
I agree. I for sure think of myself
100%.
more American.
100%. I cannot
And-
imagine living in another country. I'll tell you that. I'm American to that point where I'm like, I don't know if I could live in another country. You know, maybe a European country.
Yeah.
But I don't think I could live in Asia. I mean,
Yeah.
Japan maybe, but then there's like that language barrier, and I don't think the Japanese really like foreigners, but it's okay for them to not like foreigners. It's not okay for us to, though.
Yeah. I think I've been brainwashed by the patriarchy, and I absolutely love white power in the sense that they have nuclear families and they value.
We have 2.5, 2.3 children.
I'm just completely brainwashed. Yeah, 2.3 children. I totally value 2.3 children. I definitely I blame the patriarchy for me wanting to have rooms for my children, and independence, and logical thinking. I just think it's been brainwashed. So it's hard for me to see it any other
same
way.
here. I would say, yeah.
Call me crazy.
Same here. Yeah, I don't know. All this has got my brain thinking a lot. Like, I feel like I wasn't really fully prepared. I feel like half the points I was trying to make, I was just like, wait, how do I think about this? I think I need to like think about this some more.
Babe, you know what? This is what this project's all about, man. Like, for a podcast, I feel like I don't know, I can't say this about all podcasts, but I feel like a podcast is the perfect place to kind of figure out some complicated concepts, break down some ideas. And along the way, you might say some things that are, on the edge and, might rub people the wrong way. I'm sure we said some stuff that might have rubbed people the wrong way, but I think you can't just ignore it.
We do need to speak about
like,
these
why?
things. There's people
Why
that tell
are
you like,
things this
oh,
way?
you should never talk about religion or politics. But then it's like, well, when do you talk about it then? Like, at some point, these things do need to be discussed.
When do you talk about it?
In a civil manner, of course. Like, nobody wants to really get into a fight or anything, but
I think we should wrap it up because this is getting to be a pretty long episode. But I do think that there are places where you shouldn't talk about religion and politics, and along with that, gender and a lot of sex. Like there's a lot of stuff there's a lot of places where you shouldn't talk about that because they are innately some form of core value. Their creed, and I think I don't know. It's a like if you're trying to in a workplace, you're trying to stay as professional as possible.
Okay, yeah. There's a time and place for everything.
Doesn't belong there.
Yeah. But there needs to be a forum where we are allowed to talk about these things.
Yeah, the internet. The internet's great for that.
And guess
Comment
what? You can
below.
also be anonymous too.
Yes, you can say whatever you like with no accountability whatsoever. It's fantastic. Why don't you sign up and subscribe to our channel now so you can voice your concerns and your hatred and your bigotry right down there in the comments down below. And we will heart every single one of them. No judgment.
No judgment. This is a safe space.
But yeah, anyways, I think that's it for this week.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say? I'm tired. My brain is actually tired from this is the heaviest topic.
Yeah, and I feel like we
managed to talk about.
I was very I know we had like a couple talking or topics that we wanted to touch on, and we really went into it. But I felt like I was not all that prepared, and which is okay.
We'll go in. We'll do it again next week.
Okay, all right.
We'll do it again next week. Actually, this lag was also very tiring.
Yeah, we had a lag that we had to deal with.
There's like a 5-second lag. Yeah.
Is it still going on?
A little. I feel like you're not as responsive as I think you should be. Yeah.
Yeah. So we had some technical difficulties, but we're just gonna come back next week, maybe less than a week. I don't know. And I'll also be in town in about 2 weeks. Maybe we can do like a show, together.
Should I get another microphone? I only have one microphone. Well, actually, I do have 2 microphones, but my other mic is not so good.
I think
it's not a quality mic.
I think I'll just ship mine with me, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
That and a camera. We can have
bring your camera with you, your laptop. So just bring your whole setup, basically.
We should just shoot it in your garage, because don't you have like a little nice setup there?
Yeah, but it's also semi-storage now because we set it up and it was like nice for like a week, and then we're like, we're out of space for this thing. Where do we stick it? Oh, in the garage where we set up a place that was nice.
Is it clear enough now it's where we can just push it aside for an hour? Yeah,
we'll just put it back inside the house for the time being.
Yeah, I mean that's a great spot. I don't know, if you want to keep
I have a California house. It's tiny.
Yeah. But yeah, I think we should do a show while I'm there, and then I don't know, that'll be fun.
All right. Well, that's it for us this week. Like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below, and we'll see you next week.